we got a bunch of stuff today, so that means we are going to be busy this afternoon. Let's get to work. You pull out, it's kind of a little ratchet system. We flipped a little clip, it pops the plug off. And then a little trick I learned from my man Jake Spence. Put a little socket extension through here, and you can pull up on both sides with, well, you probably do it with one hand, but just gives you a little extra grip, and she pops right off. Nice. Now I'm lining them up in order so I can keep track of you know, what each coil looked like. Not that we can see anything. They actually look relatively new, but we'll see what each plug looks like and get an idea of what we're dealing with. I got the new coil packs from FCP Euro. They're the Bosch coil packs. And then from Berger Motorsports, I got the NGK plugs. These are 2 steps colder. They don't have the 1-step colder plugs available anymore, and just suggest going 2-step colder. If you plan on increasing boost and tuning and all that stuff, this might be a good idea anyway. And I went ahead and got their little you know, magnetized plug socket. I already have the plug gapping tool, so we're going to gap these correctly. I can't remember I can't remember. I'll pop it up when we actually do it. But we're going to pull these plugs out now. All right, so we got them all pulled out, and actually they don't look all that bad. When I scanned the car, it had a cylinder 3 misfire. The switch would be here. It was a little damp. It doesn't smell overwhelmingly like fuel. They're a little black, but I don't know. I've definitely seen worse. 1 and 6 were a bit more dry, but you know, if the car is not firing properly, then you know, I guess 1 or 2 could throw the whole system off. But we're gonna get these plugs changed out. We'll take a look and see if we can see down in the they're pretty clean. This one's got a little gunk in it, but I didn't want the valve cover gasket was replaced not all that long ago, and it's pretty clean around it for the most part. I didn't want to have to deal with it. Who knows if we will, but we'll see how this plug swap goes and go from there. So they suggest setting the gap to 0.02 inches, 0.020. So that's what we're going to do. They're a little bit wide from factory. I tell you, man, this little tool from Berger Motorsports, this is clutch for sure. This is a good little tool. Go ahead and spend the extra money and make sure you get yourself one of these. This makes getting these plugs in and out much less of a hassle. The reason I was smelling these plugs, if you're not familiar, I was trying to smell them for a gasoline smell, because you know, being an 07, I was halfway expecting the injectors to be bad, or at least 1 or 2 of them to need to be replaced. Kind of looking at doing that down the road anyway as we increase the performance of this car. But if you look and see if I can get this on camera, I know some light. Oh man, you can see right there. These are Index 1 injectors. Now, I can't remember what forum it was on exactly, but somebody has done a great deal of research compiling a bunch of information from several different 335 owners, from year, build date, to factory injector, and who has had problems with them. And it seems that the very early generation 335, or very early generation N54, I suppose, early generation injectors, I think there's an Index 0, but Index 1 for sure is known to have very few problems, and a lot of cars run for 100,000+ miles on Index 1 injectors, which is really cool to find out. And checking all of these, they are all still Index 1, which would have been the original injectors to this car, build date December 06. So very early 07, or very early, you know, generation of 335 with the original injectors still. And like I said, I was anticipating some injector failure, and I guess we'll see for sure if that's the case or not, if there is or isn't. But knowing that they're Index 1 kind of makes me feel a little bit better, actually, and we might get some some life out of them before moving to the Index 12. But we're gonna run with these coils and plugs for now and see what happens. Oh, we got a little light. So putting the injectors back in, make sure the wiring is out of the way. But you'll feel it go slide on, and then with a little bit of pressure, you'll kind of feel its seat kind of click into place. And then you just plug it back in. So, 6 plugs gapped to 0.020 thereabouts, and 6 coil packs. Probably do this in way less than an hour. Here's part number for the coil packs if you want to know. Otherwise, I'll put links in the description to both FCP Euro and Burger Motorsports, where I got the plugs. FCP Euro for the Bosch injectors, coil packs. Injectors are yet to be done. We're gonna rock and roll with these Index 1 injectors for a little bit. I'm gonna start the car, see if it idles any differently. If not, then I guess we're gonna scan it. Got the MHD app all situated and set up. I've already scanned the car once with it, which is how I got the cylinder 3 misfire. But we'll test out the idle right here and see if that made any difference whatsoever. It smells like a BMW. BMW has the most unique smell, and it stays with the car obviously for years. All right, the car's been sitting for a couple days. We just changed out the low pressure fuel pump housing because of the crack, so we have to keep that in mind as this thing warms up. Battery clearly is a little weak. I don't know what these warnings mean yet. If that is anything, let me know. If you guys have been following along, we got that visor to go down, thankfully. Seems to be idling pretty decent. I'm used to the noisy VQ engine, so this doesn't bother me, and I know direct injection can be a bit noisy too, but let me know if this sounds abnormal to any of you guys. Car seems to be idling nicely. It's been just a couple of minutes. But I think it's good. Car seems to be idling relatively nicely. After a little cruise that I took those clips on, it had a little bit of a hesitation intermittently at idle. I scanned it again later in the evening, and it had a cylinder 3 misfire again. So my plan is to move the injector around and see if that misfire follows the injector. But I just took it out again tonight, about 15 or 20 miles, and cruised around and got after it a little bit even still, and it was totally smooth with no issue whatsoever. No lights or anything, so I'm not sure. Tuesday, a couple days from now, I'm going to be taking the car into the BMW kind of specialist performance shop here in town to have them give it a once over and just kind of see if they can catch anything that I don't see, just so I kind of have a list of things. Sorry about the truck. Anyway, see if they can put together kind of a list of things that I should keep an eye out for, or some things that I might need to tackle that I wasn't seeing. I know they're going to tell me the oil filter housing gasket needs to be swapped out. It's not leaking in the front, but I can see where it's a little damp behind it and trailing down. My power steering fluid reservoir is leaking. I think that's a common issue out of the cap. You can see the hoses and the bracket and everything surrounding it just gummed up. So I'm going to take that out this weekend and clean everything up. But that's something that's leaked all the way down too. That's kind of potentially hiding some other leaks, but I can follow that dampness from the reservoir all the way down underneath the car. So that's kind of annoying. But anyway, I'm going to have them take a look and see if there's anything that they might be able to, any additional things that they can find, and if they suspect an injector, which I had planned on swapping out even before I purchased this car. I kind of knew that was going to be one of the avenues that I would take in getting this thing ready for modifications, is swapping out the injectors. Like I had said earlier, the Index 1 injectors are known to be pretty well and have some nice longevity, but that doesn't mean that after 13 or 14 years on the road, that at least one of them is failing at this point. So not super concerned. Anyway, fingers crossed that the guys at the shop don't find anything more serious than what I've already found myself, because we're getting there, you know, getting the thing up to snuff so we can start making the thing go fast. Definitely looks good out there in the sun. Ordered a more aggressive polish and a more aggressive cutting pad so we can tackle the deck lid and the hood just to see if we can save those buggers or not. Tint is on order. We're gonna get this thing looking and running right, I can tell you that. I'm more and more excited about the project every single day, so I hope you guys are too, and I appreciate you following along with both the Q50 and the new 335i project and the wife's Explorer. I think that's third in line, even though that thing has a ton of potential. But we'll get there. We'll get to all of them. So thank you guys very much for following along. Appreciate it very much. We'll see you in the next one.